Do you know what it's called when you think you've seen a color before? Deja blue. Lately, I've been trying to improve my interior design, because let's face it, it's something that I struggle with. I love making big builds or builds in Minecraft, but doing the inside, yeah, it's not usually for me, but I want to get better. So I'm going to show you how I approach interior design. The first thing I like to consider is the size and with which I'm building. Because you guys will notice if I'm building in a very smaller area, it's not going to fit a whole lot. Versus if the inside is bigger, I can add a lot more detail and a lot more design. To start off, I like to think in a 3x3 area. In the case of this is kind of the typical starter hole in the wall that we start off in Minecraft. It can fit a bed, a crafting table, a furnace, and maybe a chest and some storage. But as you go into different types of builds, you might want to add more just to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So again, in this second option, I have a bed, a crafting table, a loom for decorative purposes, and then a couple different options for storage, a chest and a barrel. And for some added color, I added in a flower pot and a plant. You'll notice I also used a slab and a trapdoor to add some shelving. So if there were a wall here, that would be a perfect place to put it. All of these 3x3 options that I've created have different purposes, and they really just kind of fit whatever vibe I'm going for. So for this one, it's mainly a storage room, but I wanted to make it look like it had more than just barrels and chests in it, so I put some out campfires in there to kind of add some stacks of wood. So this could be like the inside of a shed or something that I have in a village. And then here is a little storage kitchen area with some smokers and a furnace. I got this one off of Pinterest. I can't remember the exact designer of this. I believe it might be Clay Designs. There are a lot of really good Minecraft interior designers out there. Clay Designs and I think RAL Designs, R-A-L-E. They do great work, and you guys should definitely go check them out. And the nice thing about all of these different options that I've built over here, I could just copy and paste them in a bigger area, because there's a lot of different options you could do for interiors, a lot of items that you might not normally think to use when designing the inside of buildings. Some of my favorites mainly are slabs and trapdoors, because you can get a lot done with them that you normally wouldn't think of. Another great option is the new decorative pots, because we can decorate them with pottery sherds and do so much interior design with just that. These next areas are going to be a 5x5 area. If you've noticed, I like to stick to odd numbers for builds, whether it's the outside or the interior, because I feel like it just helps bring the whole room together and it's easier to work with. Again, this is just what works for me, and if it doesn't work for you, that is okay. So with these 5x5 rooms over here, I took a lot of different options from our 3x3 and just kind of copy and pasted them in with a couple extra things added. So you'll see we still have the slab and the trapdoor for the shelf, but I've also added in some more campfires for just some aesthetic wood kind of piling up everywhere, and some sea pickles here, because when you put them outside of water, they do not light up, so they kind of just look like cups that are sitting around. But you don't have to go all fancy and fill the room up. You can do little things like decorate the sides of a wall. So over here I have a trap door with a skull on top, and I have a little bush that's decorated with a pot, a dead bush, and then a spruce leaf on top. And then just a little chest for storage, but this is something very simple that you could do against your walls on the inside to bring some life to your build. But then going a little further, we have all the necessities that we would need to get started. We have a bed, chest, and a furnace to cook food, some different options for just some aesthetic storage, and we also have paintings, the banner to add a little splash of color, and then stealing from the actual villages using stairs as chairs, a fence, and a trapdoor for a table. And then don't forget the lighting. You could easily get some chains from the top and dangle down to have a lantern just to add a little bit more color. Just like the other ones, we have a very similar setup. This time we have a crafting table. We have the bush again with the pot, but this time it's a mangrove leaves with a propagule in there to kind of form the potted plant. But interior doesn't have to be just this small a box. You could easily add in a ladder or a trapdoor to go down to a different level. So always think about that. You're not decorating just one level, you're decorating an entire building. At least that's how I try to think of it. I don't like decorating just one floor and then leaving the other floors empty. But again, that's just me. And then kind of the opposite of the other one, we have a bunch of different storage, a little bookshelf to store some enchanted books, and then a ladder going up so we could have a floor above this instead of going below. I hope this is making sense. I'm hoping that somebody is getting some ideas from here, because I wanted to show off kind of my process on how I plan doing these things. And I like to come back to this little build because it gives me ideas ideas of what I can do. So if this is helping anyone, please let me know in the comments down below. This next set of interiors is going to be in a 7x7 area. And of course, with the increase in size of area, we have a lot more room that we can play with. So you can see I've gone ahead and used the slabs and trapdoors for shelving, along with potted plants and leaves to make some more plants that we could have around our base. I've used item frames as sort of a plate sitting on that shelf. So this is like a makeshift table and our supper is sitting right there. We've got some storage kind of thrown about along with some bookshelves for decoration purposes, along with paintings, as well as some lighting options. And then I didn't really know what to do with the bed in this one, so I made a little bit of a loft so we could actually just have it up on a shelf there and get it up off of the floor so it leaves the middle of the room open. Here I wanted to show you guys kind of how I would approach a 2-floor building. So on the bottom we stick with some of the similar aspects. We have stairs over here that we actually flipped upside down to add as a countertop, which then connects to our typical blocks such as the crafting table, the furnace, and the blast furnace. We've got a bunch of different decoration options of stuff that's useful but also just aesthetic, like the potion brewing stand on the counter next to a cauldron, the anvil in the corner with a lantern on top, different choices of paintings for a splash of color, and a cake with a candle on top. And I've seen this before, I can't remember where I saw it exactly, it might have been a vintage beef video, but using a spruce pressure pad on top of a crafting table or a furnace makes it look like a cutting board for like chopping food, which I thought was really cool. And then to kind of hide this empty space underneath the stairs, I went ahead and put bookshelves, and you could easily turn something like this into like a redstone door to a secret area, but for aesthetic purposes, this works. And like I did before, we have the trapdoor leading down into the basement. Here it's the void. I wouldn't go down there. But then going upstairs, we have a similar idea to what we've had before. Using slabs and trapdoors for shelving, we have a bunch of different storage options. We've got our dog up here because we'll never forget about him. Maybe we put a chiseled brick in the corner with an armor stand on top because that's going to be where we memorialize our diamond armor or our iron armor that got us to diamond. And then I switched up the bed a little bit by adding some slabs around it to give it more of a raised look. It actually isn't raised up, it's just going around it with a painting as the headboard. I thought that came together really well. You guys can see that your interiors don't have to be elaborate. They don't have to be super complicated. They can be really simple, but yet come together and look really nice. This last area is actually a 7x9, but still takes a lot of ideas from what I've shown you so far. A lot of our potted plants are kind of thrown about. We have decorative pots everywhere to add some lore to our build. Here we have the lofted bed like we had before, but a little spot underneath for our dog. Some storage options and a little kitchenette area like we had in the first area. But then this could also just be one room within a build, and I could have a doorway leading to another one. Again, I hope this is making sense and I'm showing you guys like how my brain works when I'm doing interiors. Again, I'm going to run through the list of items that I like to use mainly when I'm thinking about interiors really quick. So here we go. I always think you have to have a bed. I don't think the color of it really matters, so I chose the red bed because it's just iconic when it comes to Minecraft. You have to have a crafting table and a furnace of some sort, so I love to include these when I'm designing interiors. When it comes to storage, a chest is necessary, but so are barrels. And with the new decorative pots, this adds even more, so I can store little items in there, but I like them more for their decoration purposes. I also like to include the loom because before we got the chiseled bookshelves, a lot of us used the side of looms because they kind of look like empty bookshelves. And you could still do this. I don't think it's going to add much, but it adds a little bit more color to just this kind of area, so you could definitely use looms instead of chiseled bookshelves or alongside them. I think this works great. Slabs and trapdoors are great for shelvings, and the pressure plates work great for cutting boards, but I'm sure there's other applications you could use them for. That's just what I like to use them for from what I've seen in other people, and it works really well. Campfires that have been put out work great for little areas of firewood getting stacked up, and I love the look of them. You could even use them as an awning for different purposes as well. In my survival world, I use them on my Fletcher's house to create a little bit of an awning over our archery area. So again, you could use these in a lot of different things, but find out what works best for you, and if you have a different application for them, let me know in the comments down below. I included smokers because a lot like the furnace and the blast furnace, this has a different texture to it, so if it works better for different interior builds, go ahead and use it. I think that's great. I like to use this in combination with a stone brick wall and this with a campfire because it kind of makes a lit stove, kind of like what I did over here with the furnace. So we'd have the smoker down here, the wall above it, and then a campfire above it, just giving off some smoke and fire particles. It's very subtle, but it just adds a little bit more to the build itself. And then of course I gotta have an armor stand to display our armor. Pickles and pots are great for cups on tables or just to add a little extra. Pickles are also great because you can use them as the stem of pumpkins. Chains are fantastic if you're using them in an industrial style build, but they're also great for just hanging up lanterns around your base. And then again, the potted plant trick. I can't remember again where I got these from, but I love the look of this and I definitely want to use them in more builds. And then just some honorable mentions. We have the item frames with the glow item frames, banners, different mob heads, especially if you have that data pack installed, carpet. I did have a painting here, but I think the carpet made it pop off and it despawned. Amethyst crystals are great, and so are ladders. Again, I am not going to claim that I am an expert at interior design at all, but I keep on trying to improve, and I'm hoping what I am doing helps you guys out as well. So if I helped you out in any way, shape, or form, please let me know in the comments down below. But I'm going to get back to designing the interior of these builds, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Always remember the most important thing is to be odd and wash your hands. Peace, guys.